we hope to help a lot of teachers and school leaders, educators, and even parents to understand what we mean by hybrid or high flex learning. Of course, with evidence-based practices. So while the whole world is again will be experimenting on another modality depending on our community quarantine, by the way, we have tried our very best to look for the best practices, evidence-based practices on hybrid and high flex learning. In order for us to understand what we mean by hybrid or high flex learning, what I'm going to do today is to offer some insights or basic understanding on what is hybrid learning or high flex learning, what's the difference between the two, at the same time, why are we moving towards it, and what are the different areas that we need to look into. How do we understand high flex and hybrid learning? I'm pretty sure you have heard about this two terms already, especially because we are now transitioning to limited face-to-face or in-person or on-site learning. So if you're looking at the news, we have heard of DepEd already allowing some pilot classes, simulation classes, and even extending the invitation to both to private schools to work on their program for limited learning, limited on-site or in-person learning. Also the same with CHED. So we have already colleges that are allowing for limited learning. Now, what we want to do right now is to look for the similarities or maybe understand what these two terms mean. Let's start with hybrid. So hybrid is the delivery of learning or course design that allows students to learn or complete their classes via online, on-site, synchronous, or a combination of both. So later on, we will look at the spectrum of online learning, and we will find out that hybrid actually is a marriage or is a combination between online and in-person learning modality. So it combines the best features of teaching online students and in-person or on-site students. Some students go online, some go on-site, usually with a sense of permanency in the cohort or group, but still open to change. Instruction is done at the same time. Commonly, there are different hybrid models, but usually instruction is done at the same time. So it's a synchronous live class. Teacher teaching both online and on-site students. The question here is, how do we determine who goes online, who goes on-site? In hybrid, usually it's the school that determines. There's not much flexibility because what we want to happen is that there is a sense of permanency. Like, for example, grade 6. In one section in grade 6, for example, 6A, half of section A for week 1 will be on-site students. The other half of section A will be online students. So teachers, following their schedule, both online and on-site students will be taught or encountered in the same space. There's a sense of permanency in the sense that it's the same group that you'll be teaching. And there will be they will be able to exchange on the next week who goes online, who goes on-site, right? So that's hybrid. So basically, it's marrying the features of online and in-person learning modalities. Now, what is high flex? High flex builds on the basic understanding of hybrid learning. But notice that there's the word flex. High flex is a term that is often used to describe a flexible way of delivering a course through the structure or through its modality itself. When we speak of flexibility, the most common or the most basic essential flexibility component in high flex learning is that we actually allow the students or the school allow the students to choose whether to go online, on-site, synchronous or asynchronous via the school's learning management system. And this is actually according to the learner's needs and context. So the decision does not rest on the school. The decision actually says we are accommodating all learners, all their needs. And so therefore, we are ready to accommodate them if they want to go online or if we want to go on-site. There's no sense of permanency when we say high flex learning. Why? Because we assume that the school is actually open to accommodating. In the first place, it's the school that promoted the flexibility part of it. So therefore, if the school is it's allowing for flexibility in this modality for students on how they are going to learn or where they are going to learn also, it is very important, it's imperative actually for the school to practice multiple learning modalities. So multiple learning modality means that there's in-person, there's simultaneous teaching of in-person and on-site. It's also possible when students say, you know, we live in a place where internet connection is not that strong, so it's possible for the school to teach the student or to ensure that learning continues for the student in manners such as printed learning distance learning module or hybrid learning module. It could be also digital. So the key consideration here is learner's choice. Some schools also use HyFlex to describe the flexibility in their structure or in the physical space or the learning space that they have. That's also one way of describing HyFlex. But at the core of HyFlex is student choice or learner's choice. And of course, the strength there is really the school being able to accommodate the context and needs of the students. Right? If we look at the online learning spectrum, we see that technology really plays a very important role in hybrid or HyFlex. So of course we have already, if we were able to use online remote learning, now we have already experienced the full online learning for a lot of schools. Some schools were able to do some form of mixed modality, or what DepEd term as blended approach to learn to distance learning. We call them mixed modality. Of course, hybrid there, the one that we're speaking about, is a marriage between online and face-to-face. And of course, this is very intentional. This is very intentional. Now, the less online that we are, like for example, full on-site in-person learning, we have face-to-face learning already there. And of course, my school, for example, Xavier School, before the pandemic, we've been doing web enhanced or blended learning. Spot the difference. In our education system, there is a term called blended, distance learning blended modality. This is not the same with the web enhanced or the blended learning to instruction. So they're completely different, but they have the same idea of using technology to teach students. Okay, but for web enhanced, it's actually on-site. There's a focus on on-site.